Hey, we got Santiago here. He placed in the most recent Orlando Regional. And what were you playing?
I was playing Pendulum Magicians.
And what you coming?
I scrubbed out at 35th place.
Well, at least you got the Nats invite though, right?
Yeah, at least.
Alright, let's see what you were playing.
Alright, so I played this many cards to get into Electrum before you make your normal summon. So yeah, so you don't have 3 Electrums anymore, but you want to make Electrum before your normal summon to maximize the value you get out of your Pendulum summon. So these cards just help you do that. I was in question like the second shrine because you don't want to draw it late game, you don't want to draw it off the Electrum, but I figured I want to see this card in my hand every single time, so why not play 3 cards of it. Cerberus is amazing, but it does make a flaw in the deck. The thing is, if they ash this card, it's a 4 scale, so if you have no other extender to make Electrum before your normal summon, you just have to scale like something high and then Pendulum summon, make Electrum, and then clear this, which is like auto lose. So that's why I was really scared to cut down on cards like Curtain Raiser. Sure, the card does literally nothing and it doesn't advance your game state besides being a Photon Thrasher, but it lets you extend if this gets ashed. So yeah, but
How come you don't play 3?
I found it too cloggy because this doesn't combo at all with Dragon Shrine. Once you get Dark Worm, you still have to waste your normal summon to make Electrum. I want to maximize on cards like these that all work together. All these cards work together, these don't. But now that Thunder Dragon's a thing, this is actually going to be a Garnet going second against that deck, so this may come back in. But this is like a 1-card Nat Beast out. It's 2200 attack when you summon it. Many people don't know that. Like this weekend, I summoned it in front of a Saryuja and outed a Dark Claw he had on his field. So people like don't actually know what's going on. You say enter battle phase, they say okay, you attack, and then you just out of threat.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Did you play the Time Star?
Yeah, it's somewhere in here. I was just
we'll
singling
get to
out the turbo cards, but since we're doing that, I'll just take out the Magician lineup. Shanky, 2 purple poisons, which I'll discuss shortly, 3 Wisdom Eyes, 3 Oath, 2 Black Fang. So the deck is
small lineup.
Yeah, and I actually wanted to make it even smaller because you don't want to actually open purple poison. Like, you never want to see it. You only want it to, because this deck, you have to mitigate the bad matchup against True Draco. So this card just outright beats the matchup, and I happen to play True Draco, and that's exactly what happened. I opened this card and I won. Black Fang you always won in your 8 scale because after you make your Vortex, Janky Magician gets really good in simplified game states, except against Trickstar, which is actually one of my losses, ironically. But you always want 2 Oath. You can arguably play 3 of it because ideally, one is going to get banished off Desires, one is going to be in the scales, and the other one is going to get summoned off the deck for Harmonizing to make a Naruto. Wisdom Eye is just any scale you want. And yeah, but you could arguably play less of this card. This card is terrible against Pure. I set it out every time against Pure. It literally does nothing. It might hit a multi-roll at best, but that is it. And you can also set out a Black Fang Magician because none of the monsters are light. But you keep this in against Trickstars because this card just outright beats Trickstars, even though, again, I lost to it.
So you prefer Black Fang over Purple Poison?
Yeah, because again, the meta is Pure. If I knew I would play Pure all weekend and all of my matches would be Pure, I would cut this card outright.
Okay.
But then again, you just have to, like, I was messaging Justin Singh before I played the regional, and he told me that I might be facing against True Draco or Altergeist because both are the best budget options that require the less skill, so you're highly likely to lose to them because their cards just say you can't play. So this card is just really good against that, and I just needed to put it in the last second, although I disagreed with putting it in, but it actually won me my True Draco matchup. 3 Dark Worms and 2 Gates. I think the second gate is correct. So this card, again, I thought I was going to play a lot of Pure this weekend. Out of the 9 rounds I played, I only faced 1, but this card just made, like, I'm pretty sure I bricked. I ended up on an Electrum and a Chronograph, and I ended up winning that game. This card is so unfair. They actually can't play. Their only outs are like normal summoning Array and make clear Rushka, even if they play that card. If they main Heavy Duster, which actually doesn't happen, and like making, like normal summoning Phantom Sky Blaster, making a Phoenix, and then popping this. But if you have this in conjunction with 2 Jackals, they actually have no out. They literally can't out this card, and then you just win. I play 3 Desires, 2 Pendulum Call, Duelist Alliance, Star Pendulum Graph, and Time Pendulum Graph.
Oh, 3 Desires. That's risky.
Yeah, I actually win game. I'm playing a Pendulum deck, so late game when I'm grinding with my opponent after they've already outed the negations, all I need in my hand to finish my opponent off is Scales, Monsters in Hand. And this card says get both of those. Even if you draw 2, you can discard 1 off Pendulum Call, which is searchable. So this mitigates the fact that you're playing a lot of hard once per turn cards. This card is amazing against Pure, but then again, I only played 1 through the weekend, and I only opened it against my Ultrageist matchup, which plays 0 spells, and this card was awful against that deck. I might take it out. And this card just outright won me my Draco matchup and made that deck really easy to beat. And I only played 2 outs to the Dark Cubic Lord.
Really?
OTK guy that like just says win the game, and I was playing that deck and I had game on board, and they have like a Spirit Reaper guy that can't get destroyed by battle, and I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna lose. But what I drew for turn was this card, so I actually set this card and kill him the next turn. So yeah, I'm really glad that I played this. If I knew I would only play Pure, I wouldn't play this, because going second, you just want to kill them, and you never want this against them, because the only thing it hits is Moltaro.
Oh, I know more Duelist Alliance.
So
because I feel like you can use more Duelist Alliance to search all of these.
Yeah.
Just not enough space?
Yeah, the space was really tight. I ended up playing 41 cards, but the reason I didn't... Well, I actually want to max out on Pendulum cards, because my second loss of the day was to me banishing away all these 2 targets, because I chose to go second against Ultrageist to like throw them off, and I ended up I sided these 2 out of my deck, leaving these 2 as the only targets for my Duelist Alliance, and I desired into Duelist Alliance, banishing my only 2 Pendulum Calls from the deck, and I actually ended up just losing from it because of that. So I would actually... I want to play 3 Pendulum Calls, but why would I make a deck that's not weak to Ash super vulnerable to Ash? It just doesn't make sense to me. So I'm really back and forth on this card. 3, 1, 2, I really don't know. But it's really important to get to your Harmonizing Magician, since it's a 1-card negate, and that's important since you only have 1 Electrum.
I noticed no hand traps. How come no hand traps in the main?
So hand traps are only good when you're in the circumstance of going second versus Goki, because any other deck, you actually don't care what they do, because you're just going to kill them through it. That's including Pure, that's including Trick Stars, that's including Altergeist sometimes. Yeah, so I don't see the reason for playing hand traps. I'd rather just play more combo cards to push through whatever they have.
Okay.
But in the side deck, you'll see that I play hand traps when I'm going second against Goki.
Alright, so what are we gonna do? We're gonna do extra deck, or we're gonna do side deck?
Let's do extra deck. So I played this. The only time I made it, it actually ended up losing me the game, because sure, this is good for killing your opponent, but I couldn't kill her because she had Reincarnation engraved, and she had 2 Widow Anchors, took 2 of my guys, and just like crashed and killed me because I was that low on life points. So I actually should have gone into a negate instead of this. So this card actually promotes my greediness, because I see a big field. She had 2 Licorice on board, Shizuku, and I like made this, and I penned 4, and I should have killed her. And I was aware of the fact that she had Reincarnation, but I actually wanted her to use it on that turn, so it's not good on my turn. But I guess she just kind of sacked me, because she like double Widow Anchored me, afterburnered my last guy, and just killed me. So this card, the only time I made it, I lost. But it's still really good. Yeah, that negates anything. This is mandatory to go into this. If this was a dark, I would cut this and play Wee Witch over it. But since this is not a dark, I don't actually think it's correct to play Wee Witch. It's a water, so you can't make it with Wee Witch. This card was one of the best cards in my extra deck. This card says you cannot activate Ray. This card says extend when you get ogred. This card says make Naruto for free. This card is just like so unfair. You usually summon it by summoning Time Gazer with Harmonizing. Summon a gate out of your scale, and that's a free absolute. There's a combo where you do as I just said. You summon gate out of your scale, you make absolute, you attack like their Kagari with Electromite, you negate the attack with absolute, detaching the the Meteor Burst, and Absolute has an effect that when you negate an attack, you can summon an Odd Eyes monster from your grave, hand, or extra deck, and then you just summon the Synchro monster. And since it left the field, it can attack this turn, because it has an effect when you summon a monster out of your Pendulum skill, it can't attack this turn. But since it left the field, that's forbidden, and like you could just attack. I did that against Andres, and he couldn't activate any of his Gookie monsters, and I ended up just killing him the next turn. Con Gordon, Hexaton, Dweller, these, so I'm really back and forth on this card. I feel like I'm not using it to its full potential because Jeremy Mitchell, the actually guy who ended up winning the entire regional, set this card as one of the best cards in the extra deck, and I rarely make it, so that's telling me that I should probably make it more. But Pendulums, naturally, the mechanic doesn't like making XYZ monsters. They like making Synchro, Link, or Fusion, so you can have the recurability through the extra deck. So I actually don't like going into the XYZs. Dweller was good. I played a Gookie player round 3. I made this game 1, and it was really unfair. I made this with a negate, and they can't play through this because this stops all Gookies, and you just save this for Soul Charge. So they literally can't play, and you kill them the next turn. Anything else to talk about? Not really.
No, everything seems pretty standard. How well did this guy do for you?
I didn't bring him out once through the entire weekend, but it comes up in situations where Dracos, like when they have a demise turn, they have 1 card in the field spell, they have a tribute summon monster in the main monster zone, they have 5 back row, so that's 7 cards. So usually you draw for turn, you have 6 cards, you pendulum call, you scale, summon 2 lights or 2 spellcasters, so they won't see a reason to flip Rivalry or Gozen. You make this and then you win the game.
Awesome. You want to go into the side deck now?
The best card in my side deck, the Unexpected, the Shut Your Back Row Down, they side in like heavy Storm Duster, Twin Twisters, like anything this card just outs. This card, this is mandatory to have in your side deck. 3 red reboots, and I played 2 Twin Twisters because I couldn't find space in the main because I wanted a side of the 3rd Ogre, and the reason why I beat the Goki player that I played was because I opened it in my game 2, and then I drew it for turn off my Electrum, and I ended up hitting it on during his turn, which he didn't expect, which actually ended up winning me the game. Red reboot, but
Paleo and Altergeist matchup.
Yeah, I normal summoned Denko against an Altergeist player, then he proceeded to Solemn Judgment, and I activated this, but since I couldn't play, since I banished all my Pendulum Call, all of my Duelist Alliance targets, I ended up losing that duel either way. Their only out to this via monster form is like summoning a Link 2, and it's really unfortunate that it has exactly 1700 attack because the game state literally came down to me attacking directly, and he was so low he had to start setting hand traps. So he set an Ash and a Ghost Ogre, and then I couldn't out it because I had this and another copy of her on the field and like a bunch of dead cards in hand. And then he just made Phoenix and just started taking over the game by killing them. And by the time they were both off, like he had access to all his back row, and like I ended up losing the game. So, but this card was like OP. Twin Twister combo is really good with Dark Worm, but yeah.
Awesome. So overall, would you change anything?
I gotta change the deck for Thunder Dragons. Like I said, maybe add the 3rd Curtain Raiser in because you can't activate any of your services when you're going 2nd against that deck. I would leave this in my main deck, not because it's good against Pure, but because you never know what it's gonna play against. If I built my deck solely to beat Pure during the weekend, I wouldn't have beat that what's that deck called? The Dark Cubic Lord guy. And this actually just ended up winning me the game. So I wouldn't play it because it's correct for the meta, but it's really good against Rogue. And
awesome. Any shoutouts?
Shout out to Saddam, Shaheen, Edward for lending me cards. Shout out to everybody from PPG, Alon, Jacob from Orlando, RG for letting me stay at his place, and Jeremy Mitchell for winning the regional, and Justin Singh for discussing theory.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on your top, and hopefully next time around you do better.
Yeah, I'll bring it home.
You and me
South
both.
Florida.
You and me both.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Congrats again.